Mr. Естесо Перез, thank you very much for being with us tonight. I want to talk about the enlargement process in general, and how do you see this process in this moment?
Well, this process, the current enlargement process, especially this year, has taken a bit of an unprecedented turn. It's taken all of us by surprise, not least because of the eruption or the emergence of the COVID-19 pandemic, which has affected all aspects of say political, social, and economic life. Of course, the EU enlargement process has been no less affected by this. In what concerns North Macedonia's process, we have seen that 2020, or this year, has brought with it good news, so to say, because since in March we got the green light to opening accession negotiations from the European Council, which came after a very prolonged and very painful wait of around 2 years. So of course it was about time. More recently, we have seen how COVID, as I was saying, has affected the whole enlargement process as well. Every single aspect surrounding the integration process of all candidate countries and also potential candidate countries has been, let's say, pushed to the side. Because now, obviously, all resources, all human and obviously budgetary resources have been poured into the fight against COVID, and this is now the main, let's say, priority.
COVID pandemics is definitely one aspect that we have to have in mind when we are analyzing this. But talking about the Macedonian experience, as you said, we have to mention that European values actually are being tested.
Well, the thing is, we know that enlargement as a political strategy and as a foreign policy tool is very powerful and has been very successful over the past decades. We know a lot of stories of success of countries that joined the European Union and are now full-fledged members and have been able to thrive. However, the issue with enlargement as we know it now, and considering that there's 27 member states in the Union, is that it is that there is a very high chance for instrumentalization and for politicization, as we've been seeing not only this year, as has been the recent episodes. The recent episodes with Bulgaria, but we've also been seeing it for a full 30 years when referring to the bilateral dispute with Greece as well. Even from 2018, when the European Commission confirmed that North Macedonia was fit to start accession negotiations, we've seen a very persistent veto mostly from France. We also know that the Netherlands and Denmark had an equally skeptical position, but was mostly directed towards Albania, but especially France. So this is definitely an issue to reflect upon, because many, I would say all of candidate and potential candidate countries are, let's say, bidding for the same result, for the same outcome. They all want to let's say, larger or lesser extent, become members of the European Union. Therefore, what we have seen, let's say, the misuse or the instrumentalization of the enlargement policy for mostly pleasing the domestic public opinion, is very damaging to the whole process, and it of course damages the European values as we know them.
You said that there is always some kind of politicization of the process. The previous veto was about the new methodology that France wanted to be adopted. Now we see different ideas. For example, today there was one idea from a member of the German parliament that this principle of consensus should be left in the near future? Because it's really hard for European Union to make decisions this way. How do you see this proposal?
Well, I think North Macedonia in this case has a very has been a bit of a guinea pig in this situation, because it's the first country, or at least one of the first alongside Albania, that is going to either prove or prove wrong the effectiveness of the new methodology, as you were pointing out. Whether or not the rules for, let's say, quorum or majority, so changing or moving towards consensus rather than unanimity, is something that, in my view at least, would prevent from many situations of blockade, or from many countries, for whatever reason, using the enlargement bid, or the enlargement applications or processes as a bargaining chip. But as of now, I find it very challenging. We must be reminded that the EU, as it stands, is no less than 27 different member states and 27 different views and approaches. Therefore, as of now, and also provided the diversity of approaches and the fact that the EU is immersed in a very serious identity crisis.
This is all happening in the period of the German presidency of the European Union. How do you see the role of Germany?
Well, Germany has undertaken the role of a president of the EU Council in a very challenging moment. We could talk about the German presidency as a coronavirus presidency. It took over from Croatia, for whom the pandemic popped up as completely out of nowhere and as a complete surprise. So of course there wasn't that much of a margin to be able to activate the mechanisms to approach the pandemic. However, Germany has been, let's say, fully within this process since its presidency started. It is true that for Germany, it speaks volumes, the fact that it has taken a leading and active role in everything surrounded Western Balkan 6 and candidate countries and potential candidate countries. It has extremely considerable or considerably big interests in the region, and has explicitly voiced its wish for these countries to become part of the EU at some point, and therefore we have seen it taken the lead in terms of more diplomatic aspects. We are seeing right now how in fact it is mediating between North Macedonia and Bulgaria to see if we can solve the dispute ahead of starting accession negotiations through the intergovernmental conference. Therefore, I think we can. No matter the outcome, I think we can be quite pleased with the role that Germany has been playing over the past 6 months, considering everything considered, including pandemic and including this surprising, not really surprising, but more or less disruptive reservations from Bulgaria.
Yes, in the end I will just ask you about, let's have in mind some pessimistic scenario possible. What are the dangers if we face a new delay?
For us that have been following the enlargement process and have been studying the enlargement process for relatively long, as well as for the population in the countries that are directly affected by these delays, we can see, or we would be able to perceive that further delays would not contribute to creating a trustworthy and a reliable image of the EU in the Western Balkan 6. Ever since the European Commission confirmed that indeed it was time for North Macedonia to start or launch accession negotiations, it's been almost 2 years, as I was saying. Therefore, it is very risky to let's say try our luck, so to say, and let it and push it down the line for a few more months. I think we are risking a complete loss of credibility in European institutions, because of course it is the EU as a whole that will be held accountable and will be held responsible for the failure, without really taking into account that it is actually the member states who have the last word, have the last say. But of course, it is the EU as an encompassing organization that will unfortunately bear the brunt of this. And I would be also, I mean, I wouldn't be discarding any further polarization in the Macedonian political scene. This is a situation that we have been encountering for the past 5 or 6 years, when, I would say from 2015 perhaps. So this is something that is really not affordable. We cannot really spend more time waiting. Also acknowledging that it is a very slow process, that it's going to take time. We cannot really afford wasting any more opportunities for this.
Alejandro, thank you very much for your time and for being a part of our show.